the new democratic institutions. Why should you not resign, and why will you not resign, given all of this evidence of failure?
Mr. McDonough, what I prefer to do is talk about your stand and your party stand. You are basically hypocrite.
Well, you can ask me questions on another occasion. I'm here to ask questions to the minister about the 7 items that I identified.
Are basically hypocrites, because what they want us to pull out our troops immediately from Kandahar. And if we pulled our troops out of Kandahar, and I assume they want the rest of NATO to pull out of Afghanistan, the Taliban would return. A murderous regime would return to Kandahar province and impose the rules of the past, where women have no rights. Executions are on a regular diet there. They don't give a damn about human rights. And your party allegedly stands for the rights of women and for human rights, but you're hypocrites, because
Mr. Chairman, I directed questions to the minister about 7 areas of major concern, and he's refusing to address any of those questions.
Madam McDonough, just let him finish.
About the flawed mission.
He sat and listened to you go through quite a tirade on on what you were bringing forward. Now let him finish his statement.
The NDP's position on Afghanistan is just not logical. They should go either one way or the other. Either they don't stand for human rights and the protection of women, or they do. Okay, and if they stand for the protection of human rights and the protection of women, then there's need for a solid security environment in Afghanistan so the Taliban don't return. If they don't care about human rights or women, then let us come home. And then the NDP's position will be declared, I guess, illogical.
Mr. Speaker, my question, Mr. Chairman, my question concerns 7 aspects of the flawed mission and the failures of leadership to deal with the flaws in this mission. And if the minister refuses to address any of those items that I raised, then I think that I rest my case as to why he no longer deserves to be minister, and why he's not prepared to acknowledge that there are flaws in this mission that need to be addressed, and hence the waning confidence.
And that was NDP defense critic, Foreign Affairs critic Alexa McDonough asking for the minister's resignation. Well, that brings up the subject, and I'm now joined by the NDP's defense critic, Don Black. Don Black, we saw your colleague, Ms. McDonough, asking for the minister's resignation. He has, though, now announced an agreement, which you've been pressing for a long time, for a right to visit and monitor detainees who are given to Afghan authorities. Is that enough to make you withdraw your request for his resignation?
Absolutely not. Look, this minister has been abysmal in his portfolio as Minister of National Defence. Over a year ago, the very first question I asked him in the House of Commons was about the detainee transfer agreement. I asked him to strengthen it then. I asked him to model it on the agreement that the Dutch and the British have to monitor and follow up, and to ensure there was no transfer on to third parties. He has ignored those demands. He's ignored when I told him at committee that it wasn't the role of the ICRC, the Red Cross, to do what he claimed was the role, to monitor and to inform Canada of any abuse.
The minister, though, in his testimony said that he talked to Dutch and British colleagues, and they say that our agreement, they find it absolutely admirable.
I heard him say that. I find that very hard to believe, quite frankly, as I find it very difficult to have any confidence at all in this Minister of National Defence. He had to stand in the House and apologize for misleading us, parliamentarians as well as the Canadian public, month after month.
Do you believe this agreement then? Do you believe this agreement?
I find it very difficult. I haven't seen anything. I find it very difficult to believe that it will have the stature and the strength necessary to ensure that no torture or abuse takes place. Look, when they identified in the newspaper the detainees who are alleging torture, they identified them by name. They identified them by the types of torture they're claiming. When Canadians are transferred over by the Canadian forces to Afghan authorities, they do a report on the medical condition of the detainees when they transfer them over. It seems to me it's a very simple thing now. We have the names, we have the allegations, we have a report of Canadian detainees when they're transferred over. Surely, for instance, the man who said Graham Smith, the reporter, said the man's chest was injured, there were obvious marks of abuse. Those pieces can be